you do not need QTS. I repeat, you do not need QTS to become a teaching assistant in the UK. With the qualification that you have, you can apply to jobs. The only condition is that So if you're a teacher and at this point you are tired of waiting for QTS from TRA, there are two things or two options that you can explore. The very first one is by applying to become a teaching assistant. The second one is by applying to have your teacher training done in the UK. I'm going to start with having your teacher training done in the UK. So if you want to have your teacher training done in the UK, you need two qualifications. The very first one is a Bachelor of Science degree. It's not subject specific, so any subject, unlike when you're applying for QTS and they'll be like have special subject specialisms, with teacher training you don't need any special subject specialism. Whatever you are qualified in and whatever you want to teach in, have that Bachelor of Science degree certificate. Number two is that your qualifications, when compared to that of the UK educational system, you should be able to pass 2 GCSE subjects, which is maths and English. And how would you know that the certificate you are holding when compared to that of the UK educational system means that you've passed those 2 subjects? You'd have to have it compared, and I don't mean through NARIC. There is a number which I'm going to be giving you later in today's video, that when you call, they can give you a verbal comparison of your qualifications to see if you have passed those 2 GCSE subjects. And the grade that they are looking for is C and above. Now, let's say that you've met those qualifications, that is, you have a Bachelor of Science degree, and your qualification when compared to that of the UK system means that you've passed those 2 GCSE subjects. The next thing for you to do is to apply for postgraduate teacher training courses with TTPs. TTPs are teacher training providers, and I'll be talking about 3 today. The very first one are universities. So just like how you apply to schools, get admission, pay your tuition and get into school and study, that's how you with universities are. You'd have to find universities that offer these postgraduate courses, and then you have to apply, meet those schools requirements, okay, to study those subjects, and then get into the schools, pay your fees, pass, okay, and then after that you get your QTS. Applying to group of schools, there are some group of schools that offer teacher training in order for you to be awarded with QTS when you pass. So you apply for jobs to these schools. Remember, not all schools require you to have QTS. So you apply for these jobs, meet the requirements that they want, get an interview, you get offered the job, and then you move to the UK. Once in the UK, you have up to 4 years to get the QTS. So the schools would help you, and teacher training will send you to school, whether they'll provide you themselves or send you to a university for you to acquire your teacher training in order to get your QTS. So before I move on to the third teacher training provider, if you're always watching my videos yet you are not subscribed to my channel, please consider subscribing below by clicking the button below, and don't forget to ring the notification bell so that whenever I upload my videos you are notified. The third teacher training provider is what we call independent training provider or private training providers. So these ones are not for the state, okay, it's non-governmental. A group of companies may come together to set up these training providers, and they offer numerous courses, vocational courses, apprenticeships and all that. So you may go through this option as well. Sometimes they may be set up for profit reasons or sometimes for non-profit reasons. So that is another option you can go. So altogether you have 3 training provider options that you may want to take. So I know some of you may be worried about paying school fees, how you're going to fund yourself and all that. So I'm going to be talking about next. So let's go into funding. So there are 2 types of courses that you can offer. We have salaried courses and non-salaried courses. Now, salaried courses, these are the courses that your employer is funding. So remember I talked about you applying to a school, getting employment, and then the school will support you to have your teacher training done. So when that employer is funding your teacher training, and the course that you'll be doing is what we call salaried courses. So in this case, you don't have to pay much. They may have to set up something, maybe come into an agreement with you that maybe we are going to support you through school, but you may pay us back by maybe paying a certain amount every month, or sometimes they can train you for free. It depends on your employer. So in summary, with salary courses, your teacher training provider or employer will fund your training. Now let's look at non-salaried courses. So with the non-salaried courses, you have applied to school and you've gotten your admission, so you support yourself. There is no teacher training provider going to support you or employer going to support you. You're the one going to pay your fees. However, do not fret, okay, because there are other options for you. You can access student finance, which may come into an agreement to support you pay, and then there'll be plans on how you can repay them later. Or there are scholarships or certain bursaries that support teachers to have their teacher training done. Okay, it all depends on the school that you are going to take your teacher training. It all depends on your situation. So those are the two types of fundings that we have. Now let's look at how long it will take you for you to complete your teacher training. So it takes 9 months full time, okay, or 18 to 24 months part-time. So for instance, if you were working, you can still do this teacher training alongside your job, and in this case it may take you a year. Or if you apply directly to universities, it can take you 9 months. So according to getintoteaching website, when I checked over there, the funding or the money that you need to complete these teacher training programs starts somewhere from 9,200 and something to about 32,000, depending on whatever course that you are applying for. And they are saying that there is funding available to teachers that are going to study languages and physics. Okay, so they will support you about 40,000 funding, and they'll give you 10,000 extra for relocation. So it depends on what subject they are going to teacher train for. So as I mentioned earlier, I was going to give you a number that you can call to have a verbal translation of your documents to know whether the certificate or document that you hold is equivalent to passing 2 GCSEs. I'm going to leave the number over here for you, okay? So ring this number if you want them to verbally, they will not give you any document, they're just going to verbally check for you whether you meet the requirement in order to attend a teacher training school. Now that we've tackled the teacher training part, let's move on to becoming a teaching assistant. So if you want to become a teaching assistant, it's very straightforward, unlike the teacher training one. Very, very straightforward. You do not need QTS. I repeat, you do not need QTS to become a teaching assistant in the UK. With the qualification that you have, you can apply to jobs. The only condition is that you meet the requirements of the job. Okay, so this one is dependent on the qualifications that the school is looking for or is advertising for. Just meet their requirements to become a teaching assistant, and then also make sure that they can give you a visa sponsorship, and then just go ahead and apply. Okay, you do not need QTS. So you see that this one is very much straightforward. The difficulty in this one is actually finding the school, actually meeting the requirements, and actually finding one that is willing to give you visa sponsorship for you to relocate. But they are there. We just have to put a lot of effort into finding such schools. So although it is dependent on the school and the job that you're applying for to become a teaching assistant, remember I said the qualification of 2 GCSEs for maths and science for teacher training. Yes, remember that one. Yes, most schools will require that you have this qualification as well in order to become a teaching assistant. It is vital that you compare your certificate or qualifications to see if you have this GCSE qualification, because you need it as well to become a teaching assistant. So there you have it, guys. So these are the other 2 options available for you if you cannot get QTS straight away, or you don't qualify to get QTS. Explore these 2 options as well. They are available. Thank you very much for watching today's video, and don't forget to join my Telegram page for teachers, and I've got one for nurses as well. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.